I'm William Shatner. I've done a lot of things in my career, but this takes the cake. This is so cool. You, Joseph, today, it's all about you. You won the internet. Congratulations. It's exciting. It makes me want to celebrate. Makes me want to get up out of this chair. Makes me want to sing. Makes me want to dance. Makes me want to shout. Kick my heels up. Throw my hands up. Toss my head back. No, really, people should be shouting your name in the street.
Come on now, sing
that song.
Joseph,
Sing it out loud.
Joseph.
I want to celebrate. Put it up in lights.
The internet belongs to you.
See, no one else deserves to be celebrated like you because you are the best.
Hey, listen up, y'all. I'm gonna shout out this young gun right here because he's trying to do his thing. Joseph Jaffe, not famous. Probably rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm famous because, you know, he not famous. And he like, yo, let me call my famous friends and see if they'll shout me out and make me more famous, sir. Right? But so, Joseph Jaffe, man, it's cool. You got your late night talk show popping off. That's what's dope. Streaming, been doing your thing, man. Started this in March of the 2020, which is, tough throughout the years, but booking great guests, man. Jamal Mashboard, James Rollins, steady building it, man. Keep it popping off, man. Keep building your brand, man. Believe in yourself. Keep going hard, all right? That's what it's all about. One of these days, this little acronym of yours, not famous, is not going to be true. People going to see you in the mall and be like, I know who you is. Them going to be your cousins saying it all incorrect like that. But you know what I'm saying? You know what you going to do. What you going to do? They family. All right, bro. I'll holler.
Woody-hoo!
Woody-hoo! Out here in the stream, as in the streaming era, I fight for my dreams. I get my heart into my living.
You encourage drinking or marijuana use on the show?
I don't need a fight, cause Evelyn's right. Or you could sponsor an emu. I'm Batman.
That's your tweetable moment, folks. That's your tweetable moment. If Mark Zuckerberg makes a metaverse, is that Web3? No, it's Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse.
He's like us. He's flawed.
Just a little segue.
That's some dope shit, dude. That's really, really nice.
Woody-hoo!
Woody-hoo! Yes. It is not St. Patrick's Day, but it is a holiday. It is a holiday week. It is Thanksgiving, and I am thankful, I am grateful to Anthony Mongiello, co-founder of the Bulls and Apes project, because, it's been a while since I've had an NFT project in the studio. We were going to try and get together a while ago, and it just didn't happen, but good things come to those who wait, and so he's going to be coming on the show. What's great about bringing in a co-founder and a collection months after their mint, that you can actually keep them honest. You can hold them accountable. What's happened to the project? What's happened to the floor? What's happened to the community? Is there mutiny? No, there isn't. There is collaboration. There is growth. There is acquisition. We can find out about the money back guarantee that set the whole Web3 world by storm. In fact, that might have been the high point of this whole space. And then, of course, after this wonderful crowning glory, well, as we know, it's been all pets.com from that moment on. But what goes down must come up. And indeed, up it will come. So welcome to everyone from the Bulls and Apes project, from the community. I'm glad that you're spending the next hour of your holiday week with us. Now, many of you know that I have a project called Alpha Collective, and I have to tell you, there is a goal, there is a vision, there is a mission behind Alpha Collective, and it is simply this. It is to help onboard the next billion wallets. it is important. If we want to grow, if we want to cross the chasm, we need to move beyond scraping the bottom of the barrel. We need to stop zero sum. My win comes at your expense or your loss. We can't just keep on playing musical chairs. We need to bring in new consumers. We need to bring in normies. We need to bring in executives. We need to bring in the big brands. And it really helps when you have a seasoned corporate executive, someone with experience, a real proven tenured founder group that can come in and apply fundamentals to the business. So I believe that you're going to see the next billion wallets onboarding when we see the adults in the room starting to collaborate and be the rising tide floats all boats. And by the way, let me just be very clear. When I say adult, that has nothing to do with age. That has everything to do with mindset, in terms of your heart, in terms of your soul, in terms of your brain, in terms of bringing strategy and fundamentals and trust to the table. So hopefully I've whet your appetite for what is to come. And to set it up, it is now time for the seated soliloquy. And the seated soliloquy today is called Trust and Verify. It is something that I've been thinking about. And in fact, to be honest with you, it's actually something that was inspired when I taped yesterday's show. And, you know, it was in that episode of the show that we started talking about the future of influence and influencer marketing. And when we think about testimonials and ratings and reviews, and we think about boosts, and we think about people that are talking about a project, about a book, recommending a company, you don't know who they are. You have no idea who they are. And in fact, the only way that we've been able to ascertain is something like, I don't know, a blue check mark on Twitter, or how about friends and fans and followers? We look at numbers, we look at tonnage, but we all know the dirty little secret. And that dirty little secret is that oftentimes those fans, those friends, those followers are bought or are bought. They're bots or they're bought. We are sometimes being fooled by false prophets. We are being lured down a dark alley, a dark corridor, a one-way corridor. But what we need is the ability to trust, and we trust through verification, and we verify through the blockchain. When we can see, and this is what I've experienced in Discord, when I've experienced different roles, when you can verify based on the purchase of an NFT, you take the guesswork, the opacity, the ambiguity out of it, and you replace it with transparency. When you know someone is talking and they're a buyer and they're a whale and they're a customer, and how long they've been a customer, and you can watch their purchase history throughout the blockchain, that's when trust and verification becomes a reality. And that's when we cross the chasm. And now it's time to cross a different chasm with my guest, Anthony Mongiello. Now, Anthony does not know, but there are going to be many, many surprises today. The first one is coming up very soon. Anthony Mongiello has amassed nearly 20 years of experience as an operations and technology leader. He brings to his team, this founder team, this project, his refined business insight and skill in broad company culture advancement. He's worked to plan and strategically implement transformation programs, and is well experienced in technology road mapping. Anthony connected with his co-founders, Guy and Manny, through his involvement in the NFT space. As Fanzo often says, you have to be a collector before you can be a founder or a builder. The Bulls and Apes project marks Anthony's entrance into entrepreneurship. And before we bring him on, it is time to introduce you to the project with a little bit of the lore of the Bulls and Apes project.
Chapter 1: Genesis. Humanity and technology grew for thousands of years, expanding into entirely new fields of possibility and potential. Humans upgraded themselves, merging with machines and possessing powers that we today would consider godly. Over eons of evolution, they eventually reached the end of their evolutionary cycle, able to harness and control energy and matter at will, achieving great harmony with the universe. They traveled and observed civilizations on distant planets as they grew in their own ways, watching as the cycles of life shifted and adapted, always distant observers from afar. But there was one among them with ambitious and visionary intent. He loved to shapeshift and mingle with life forms, blending into their worlds and living amongst them. He became a historical figure in many of the planet's timelines, offering knowledge and technology that accelerated their evolutions. Yet, he yearned for more. He wanted to start from scratch, to build his own species and guide them from the very start. In all his time living among countless species, there was one creature that he came to love the most: the bull. The bulls were proud and strong creatures. They had large hearts with a natural affinity to protect their kin. He fell in love with their shape, with the strength of their horns, and the dual nature of their soft grazing that could shift in a single moment to...
How does it end? How does it end? You'll just have to watch to find out. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. How
You
are
see,
you?
you see, this is what I do when normally I have NFT founders on. I basically say, what? You thought he was going to be doxxed? You thought you were actually going to see a human being? Just kidding. There he is. Welcome to the show.
I joke I've never not been doxxed, even when I was just an NFT collector. You always saw my face on my PFP.
Funnily enough, I've described myself as maybe the most doxed person on in Web3, because I've been essentially public. I've been keynoting and speaking and and blogging and podcasting since 2000, since before 2005. So at this point, I can run, but I can't hide. And maybe more founders need to remember that you cannot hide. You can try and hide behind the blockchain, but you can't hide from the blockchain.
That's correct. I mean, it's the beauty of Web3, and Web3 is the backbone of Web3 is this public ledger that is blockchain, and that public ledger is what, in my mind, is the beauty of it. It takes out the intermediary. It's all there. It's transparent. You don't have to go through a bank or DMV or lawyers to make a transaction. The transaction's right there, and two parties can interact with each other. And to me, that's the power, that's the opportunity, that's the potential.
And I mean, I think we were discussing earlier, even a little bit on Instagram and in the green room, about the summer of 2021 is like, I don't know, it seems like 20 years ago, never mind. But the reality is that we've seen the space just turn over and turn over and turn over so many times. And in actual fact, we've probably done ourselves a disservice by sometimes turning it over too quickly. But the reality is we're learning, and even the gaming of Web3 slowly but surely gets weeded out and gets normalized. The people that hid, the people that, I mean, last week, I almost got conned by a deep fake of Elon Musk giving away crypto. We can't even trust right now, quite frankly. How do people even know that this is Joseph Jaffe talking? You may not even know. It's insane. But I believe blockchain, I know blockchain will help.
It will, because it's there. You can track it. And one of the things that's happening now is the concept around digital identity. Now there's always going to be people that want to remain anonymous. However, having digital identity and being able to tie that digital identity to a particular wallet, and then it's like building up credit with the bank and with credit cards and having a checking account and showing that you're responsible. That, I believe that the future, there's going to be digital identity that's attached to a wallet, and that wallet is going to build up credibility. And that digital identity that's associated with that wallet will build up credibility. And that credibility will allow you to get access to certain things. And if you don't have that credibility, maybe you won't. But that's all going to be available on the blockchain publicly.
It's very interesting when we think about credit and credibility. There are two words that are actually very, very similar, but you will build up credit, and not even credit, but also the idea of currency, right? Social currency in terms of making recommendations. Was this helpful to you? If I recommend an NFT project and it doesn't work out for whatever reason, ultimately that still should feed back to my recommendation. There still should be a crumb or some kind of entry on the ledger. And whether it's fair or not fair, the fact is I'm going to be a little bit more careful about who and what and why and how I recommend, if I know that everything will come back to me, good, bad, or ugly. I mean, to me, that's the way of the new world.
It is. And we're experiencing an interesting phase here where people are becoming paralyzed with making those recommendations, because there has been so many bad actors in the space, that people that have built up social currency, that have built up credibility, that have audiences, are a bit hesitant to put themselves out there and endorse or back a particular company or project, because even the biggest projects, even the biggest companies have had some issues. And so it's an interesting phase that we're in right now, where I think we're going to have to figure out a way on how do we, you mentioned the trust and verify, how do we do that verify part? How do we do it in a way that we have some confidence with that verification?
I think I might sneeze. FTX. I'm sorry. That was what's known as the FTX sneeze. But yeah, I mean, by the way, one of the funniest things I've seen was a tweet that basically says Larry David playing Larry David, in an FTX commercial, basically saying he doesn't really get crypto or this whole FTX thing, and now he's being sued for that, is the most Larry David thing imaginable.
It is comical, that's for sure.
I don't know. Listen, we laugh because it's better than crying. But speaking of laughter, and I don't know if it's going to be laughter or not, but people want to know the real bull, the real God bull behind Bulls and Apes project. And so we sent our private investigators into the field to find out about Anthony Mongiello. This is what we found. Unbelievably so. We found out, for example, that he began his career working at 11 as a mechanic. And there is a funny story about you and a client and rolling out from underneath a car. So why don't you tell us that story?
Yeah, so I come from a hardworking family. My father was FDNY, fire department in New York, and always had a side job. And a mechanic was one of them. And so 11 years old, taught me how to turn a wrench and do tune-ups and brake jobs and all that fun stuff. When I was 12, the funny story is sometimes my father, we'd be running behind and he'd have to get to the firehouse for a shift. And so he'd leave me to finish up the job. And this one particular time, customer came and I rolled out from under the car and I was there by myself, this 12-year-old kid. And he's like looking at me all bewildered. And I start getting a little nervous and I start lowering the car. And then I forgot that there's a jack stand, and the jack stand goes up before it goes down. Well, it was stuck and I just pushed it and the car started wobbling and I got nervous, and my uncle lived a block away. So I was like, I'll be right back. He's like, where are you going? And I'm just running. This 12-year-old kid, I got my uncle. My uncle comes over, gets everything situated. The guy's screaming. He's like, what the hell's going on here? You got a kid working on a car? And so my dad lost that customer.
Well, at least you weren't driving the car.
Yeah.
But then something else happened, and I'm not sure if it actually happened while you were busy going up and down on the jack. But you cut off your middle finger. I mean, hang on a second. Let me just say that you, my friend, are in very, very prestigious company, because there are apparently many famous people in this. It looks like there's Rahm Emanuel, Jerry Garcia, Matthew Perry as well. So how the hell did you do that?
So this one, I was do-it-yourselfer. Our first home, we completely remodeled it, did it ourselves. and I was doing built-ins for a bathroom, and I was on the last cut. And I had this, I was home by myself. My wife was at a bachelorette party for her sister. And I had this big juicy steak waiting for me. I couldn't wait to make it. It was like this big ribeye. I had mushrooms. I had a nice bottle of wine. It was going to be a nice relaxing evening. Last cut, it popped up. Guard popped up. My hand rolled down, and it cut it off. I wound up driving myself to the hospital, and cop was like, "Yeah, you can't park here." I was like, "Table saw." So he took the keys. He parked it for me. Wound up going home, and I cooked myself that steak when I was done.
Wow. I mean, hopefully it wasn't a crunchy steak
No,
as well.
It was good.
And when something like that happens, can they reattach it, or in some cases, or it's just, it's now a memento.
It's a memento.
Excuse the pun, by the way. Yeah. Memento. At least it wasn't your toe. But anyway,
it wasn't the toe. No, but it actually, the thumb they fixed, the pointer they fixed. It was multiple fingers. It was, yeah. So wow. the way it rolled, the bone was shattered on the middle finger, and so there was nothing to save.
Well, listen, at least they saved the boyish charm and those dashing good looks, and you would bounce back to launch one of the collections that I think probably, in all seriousness, came almost like at an inflection point. Yeah. In fact, I remember very well, maybe that's why you never ended up coming on the show, that it was at the time when there had been some very high profile, visible rugs and hacks, and you made probably the difficult but the correct decision to freeze or to pause your mint in order to go back and look at the contract, and make sure that it was airtight. And I think then you came back, and it was at a time when the market was already turning, right?
It was. So our original, as you mentioned, the original mint was actually going to be the same weekend as the other side mint. And for those in the NFT space, the other side mint was a massively popular mint. And literally after that mint was the downturn of the market. We were supposed to mint then, but there were some issues with some smart contracts. And what we did was, because of all the scams and the rug pulls, we always wanted to do things differently. And we wanted to come in with a level of professionalism. So one of the things that we did is we offered a 6-month ETH back guarantee built into the contract. Well, right before we went live, we were supposed to go live with our mint. Another project did something similar, and $30 million worth of Ethereum were forever locked in the blockchain because the contract was flawed. And so we're like, well, hold on a second. We've got to do audits. We've got to do double checks. So we did 5 different audits. So we delayed a month. We did 5 different audits before we finally minted. And that 6-month ETH back guarantee is up November 27th. So this Sunday. And I'll say that we've had 15 bulls that have been executed on the refund out of our 10,000. So we're pretty darn proud that we were able to offer up that refund. 15 bulls were returned to us, and we returned their Ethereum. So it all worked flawlessly. And it was thanks to all of the auditing and the precautions that we took with the contract.
Okay, wait a second. 15 out of 10,000.
Yes.
That, my friend, deserves the applause. I mean, that demonstrates proof of concept. It demonstrates efficacy. Did you think it would be so low, or did you think it would be higher, actually? Because I mean, even if you had said 1,000, I would have said, wow, that's pretty low. But 15 is almost zero. I mean, it's pretty much people that desperately needed the liquidity.
And that's what happened. We shockingly, if they would have taken the time to sell it on secondary, they probably would have gotten more. So it definitely was some desperation, I'd say, on, they just needed it really quickly. And so I definitely thought it was going to be higher, especially when we started getting into the bear market and seeing all of the projects, even the best projects, price going down. Our price has more than doubled since mint. So
that's right. It was what was the mint price?
the pre-sale, which most of our sales were 0.17, and then some of the sales were 0.22.
And so now, unfortunately for me, so I was going to buy into the project, but I had a thing, which is that I would always mint the actual NFT on the show when I had a founder on the show, but you never ended up coming on the show. And so I never bought into the project at 0.17. Had I bought into the project at 0.17, I would have doubled my money and I would no doubt still be hodling. So you know what? I think we're going to have to rectify that today. Look, we talk about founders helping founders and supporting founders. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to I'm going to buy off the secondary. I don't get money back guarantees. I don't get any benefits, and I don't care. But what I'm going to do right now, I have my eye. Normally, I buy, sweeping the floor, starting with the lowest one. But I love this one. I love this bright red, shiny bull. So I'm going to go ahead and buy it right now, and let's just see if everything works. 0.39, $439.65. As long as gas is $3.54. Let's go ahead and buy that live on the show. Let's just see if yep, it's done.
Well, welcome to BAP.
It took me a while. Let's go ahead and just refresh that. But I was always going to come good. I'm sure it will appear at some point as well. But yeah, I mean, it's finally I'm in.
Excellent.
So
now you're part of the inner circle.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and verify, trust and verify as well. But let's talk a little. First of all, in all in all sincerity and I'm congratulations on being able to put that stake in the ground and demonstrate now months afterwards. I'm sure you had your detractors. I'm sure there were lots of fudders out there. For those of you that are new to the space, that stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I think this is really a gold standard in terms of potentially how to take the risk out of something that we've learned, especially through false prophets. By the way, what I've learned, Anthony. First of all, if you are on the cover of a magazine and someone is calling you the next anyone, you're basically on your way to jail. So just, I want to be on the cover of Forbes as the next Joseph Jaffe. I want to be Joseph Jaffe, the next Joseph Jaffe. I do not want to be the next anybody. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So congratulations.
Well, thanks. And it's, I feel like it's only because we did it the real Web3 way. And the real Web3 way is putting community in the forefront and delivering value over value for the community and making it impossible once you're in the project, impossible not to love it. And that's what we strive to do. And as supportive of a community that we have, I think it's a two-way street. It's they support us, we support them, and we've really gone out of our way to make sure that we were really doing it the real Web3 way, which is embracing community.
Listen, what I just did seemed to wake up the community. So now we've got Cat Bullish and we've got Myra C. Someone on YouTube had just said, I couldn't figure out chat, but you two make me laugh. What does A stand for? I'm not really sure. Evan says, get it. And welcome to BAP. Congratulations. Welcome to the BAP fam. Charles Carrington sounds like one of the characters from Dynasty. He said, good for you. You will not be disappointed. And now that you bought your first bull, you're in and addicted. It's amazing. Suddenly it woke them up. They were sleeping. They were in hibernation, during crypto winter, all the bulls were sleeping.
Cat Bullish is one of our biggest holders. So you've got quite a number to catch up to, Cat.
Yeah, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work hard. at it. But, you know, it's a wonderful thing to see community being able to kind of, you know, start to activate or to self-activate. And one of the things I've always said is the ultimate expression of community is when a founder doesn't have to control or be the autocrat, or, you know, in so many cases, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when people think about a Bulls and Apes project, they don't say, oh, that's Anthony Mongiello's project. They don't talk about you or Manny or, you know, and that's the point. It's like when you see a community that is dominated by an individual, by a person, you know that there's a problem.
Yeah, no, and we see the support that is out there on Twitter for the Bulls and Apes project is it's amazing. I DM different influencers and have a bit of relationship, and across the board, I always get back from them. They're like, there's an amazing community with the Bulls and Apes project. I see Bulls and Apes project all over Twitter. They're in my comments. They're in DMs. It's just people are blown away by the activity around the community, the engagement around the community, and the quality of the community. Our community is strongly made up of people that want to take control, that are go-getters, that have an entrepreneurial mindset. You know, they see an objective and a target, and they're willing to go for it. We've got a ton of people that are like that in the community. It's so nice to see.
Was that the goal coming into it, in terms of your avatar, your persona, your archetype of the typical holder, or did it just, is that what kind of, when you stood back or stepped back, you saw this kind of behavior or archetype emerging?
So it's a little bit of both. You know, we designed the Bulls and Apes project with a tokenomic structure that was always going to encourage people that had financial strategies, that understood investments, that understood how to take assets and have assets work for them. So that entrepreneurial minded person was always going to do well in our project because of the way that we have it designed. In addition to that, we started with VC deal flow. So by owning a bull, you're part of the inner circle. One of the benefits of the inner circle is that we've got pretty strong relationships in the VC world. And so we're bringing curated deals to our community. And again, that same kind of mindset is attracted to that kind of utility. The last deal that's currently open right now, we got an allocation for SpaceX opened up. And so our community has been able to invest in SpaceX, which is a pretty exciting investment opportunity.
That's unbelievable. And now I can as well.
That's
so,
right. Yes.
So I was looking at some of the comments. I really, yes, Kyle. Kyle Birkland says, with the price of ETH right now, you're currently paying the same we all paid at Mint of 0.17.
Pretty close.
So that is a very, very good point. And Cat Bullish echoes that. The Cheese VR said, new bull incoming. And Vanessa Darquea says, let's go. But this comment, I think, is a powerful one. It says, BAP, Bulls and Apes, is our company. And I love that. I love the fact that you have a community member, not saying it's our community, but it's our company. Whether, in fact, in ownership or in voting rights, that is true or not, if you feel it, if you can internalize the fact that you feel that sense of ownership, this is exactly what we are striving for in Web3.
It is, and it's that balance of you know, I've got a company to run, and I've got to run the company, but it's important to recognize that you're in a unique circumstance. Like, I worked in the corporate world for forever. I never even knew a customer. I was strategy, I was operations. Now being in Web3, the power of having 1,400, 1,500 people that believe in the company, that want to contribute, it is, you know, it's a responsibility that we have now as founders in Web3 to be able to nurture that, make sure that you're bringing the community along with you. They're not going to be able to be involved in every decision, certainly, but they absolutely are more involved than just being a client or a customer. And even if they're not a shareholder, you know, they certainly have stake in the outcomes that we put in place. So we're constantly listening, getting feedback from the community. we're partnering with the community also. And so as the community has different endeavors, we want to partner, we want to help. We set up different guidelines on how sub communities within BAP can operate, and they could create their own logos. They could use some of our branding, as long as they're as long as they're following the principles and values that we have as a company.
See, I see what you did there. You said they have a stake in it. You've gone back to the story of your finger again. So, you're keeping a good a red thread throughout. The Cheese VR says, join us in BAP Discord, Joseph. I certainly will. And actually, I hope all of you will join me in my Discord. And so if you actually follow this little ticker at the bottom, Anthony has very kindly agreed we're gonna raffle off, or we're gonna give away an NFT. What NFT are we gonna give away? Is it gonna be a teen bull or a
teen bull? Yes.
All right, so we're going to give away a teen bull, and as usual, what you have to do is essentially sign your life away, and your fourth born child now belongs to Anthony and myself. We're going to split them down the middle. But listen, you're probably following Bulls Apes Proj on Twitter, and you're probably following me on Twitter. You're probably part of our Discords anyway. So all we're going to ask you to do is please, please subscribe to this show at bit.ly/subscribe to the show, and paste your YouTube username in the giveaways channel in my Discord. And on the 20th of December, my last show of the year, my last live show ever, because we're moving to a pre-recorded with a live virtual studio audience. I will be giving away that NFT. Maybe I'll even give you an NFT of my own as well. Maybe an NFT to Alpha Collective. So Anthony, thank you very much for that, for your generosity.
Oh, excellent. I love seeing Teen Bulls get into the hands of excited collectors.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I want to kind of segue into a couple of, I think, important topics, because here you are now, months later, looking back. Obviously people ask you the question, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? I'm not interested in those questions. What I'm interested in is us being able to look forward. What do you see the future looking like? You've lived, no doubt, through, I see a couple of silver hairs on your head. I have them too, that my Just for Men kind of, clouds every now and then. But we've lived through recessions. We've lived through tough times. I've lived through, if you have a look over my shoulder, you can see my pets.com sock puppet as well. When we say this too shall end, what do you see happening in general, in the economy, in the space, in the NFT space? Because I think people need that vision.
Yeah, so there's two things I see happening very, very quickly here. Is the longer this bear market lasts, which I feel bad for everybody that's negatively impacted by it, but I do think that it is ultimately healthy for the space in general, because up till now, with the bull market running, it was so easy to make money from a mint. It was so easy to make money as an influencer or a promoter that's where everybody focused on. They focused on the quick money, the easy money. They focused on, they didn't focus on building out the broader ecosystem. So I do believe that with this, you're going to see people that are building out tools that help onboarding mainstream. So all of those helper tools that reduce the obstacles to onboarding. People are going to have to do that because it's not going to be the quick mint and make $10 million. It's not going to be the, give me 150K to promote your project. You're not going to be able to do that anymore because the mint money is not going to be there, which I think is healthy. So now what you're going to have is you're going to have people building real businesses. You're going to have influencers and promoters looking to promote real businesses. And then you're going to have the innovators looking at all of the helper tools around and trying to make sure that that we're building tools that help people onboard easier, whether that's through education or it's whether it's through automation. There'll be those helper tools that are created. I think that's the next phase here as we continue through the bear market.
I love that concept of helper tools, because in other words, what we're doing is we're co-creating together. We're opening up APIs. We are being able to bring new people, new ideas, new perspectives. We talk about collabs, and that really is the vision of collab, the collab vision coming to fruition. So I'm going to ask a slightly different question based on that, which is, one of the things I said at the beginning of March 2020, and this is like, so there are two parts to it, right? There's March 2020 and the last 2.5 years that will go nameless. It's like Voldemort, that which shall not be named. And then we see this crypto crash, or this bear market, etc. What I've seen is that there are a lot of people have retreated into their shell. A lot of people have become quite selfish. A lot of people have become quite stingy. A lot of people have become quite mean. Not all people, but some people. How do we ensure that hope, positivity, and optimism, that empathy, that generosity, that collaboration prevails, and that ultimately that is what rises to the top? How do we overcome sometimes the paranoia and the insecurity and the anxiety?
Yeah, I think the number one is leading by example, and so continuing to push forward and to deliver. I think that as you mentioned, you're going through different recessions, whether it was 2001 or it was 2008. What always won out were the people that had conviction and took action, and so the ones that were fearful, that were selfish, that were pulling into their shells, those are the ones that were passed by. And so I think that founders that lead with conviction, that lead with action, those are the projects that will stand out. And by doing that, they're actually bringing positivity to the space. I believe that what we're doing with Bulls and Apes and continuing to deliver, when I look at the activity within our Twitter echo chamber, there's a ton of positivity. The people that are involved are tremendously positive. And so I think that, promoting that positivity by continuing to deliver, that's what can give people hope that, okay, there are people that are trying to do it the right way. There are projects that want to see the potential of Web3. And so this gives me some hope that I should stick around.
Yeah, I mean, that is worthy of the air horn, which only comes out in very rare and special moments. But that's so beautifully put and eloquently put. And, I know the things that we were discussing before is, number one, founders helping founders, finding ways to build the space, the Web3 way. Number two, community and projects working together to grow and build, right? That comment, this is our company, this is my community, I feel this ownership, I feel this belonging. And then I think the third, going back to, even in the wake of this FTX debacle, something that I think you articulated, which is not putting founders on a pedestal with blind trust or idolization. This is not Web3. So you spoke about the Web3 way, and you said this is not Web3. What is Web3?
So our vision is to help create a world of infinite opportunities. And this means bringing opportunities to those that wouldn't have had it otherwise. Maybe they didn't have the right connections, maybe they didn't have the right education. And so I think that for me, Web3 is that decentralization. I look at it as Web 1, I think, was powerful in providing people with opportunities. Anybody can open up a website, they could have e-commerce, and if you were decent with marketing, you could make it happen from a small business to that. Then Web 2, I feel like it went back to centralization, where you had to be one of the big players or you had to go through one of the big players, a gatekeeper, in order to get your attention or to make something of yourself. Web3 to me is more decentralization, where you're decentralizing the actual transaction because of the public ledger. And so that's the opportunity with Web3 is projects that founders, projects, brands, companies that look at trying to build something that is bigger than them, where other people can have the spotlight and the opportunity. So some of these areas where you're putting founders or influencers or whoever else on a pedestal, and then just having the blind trust. Now you're getting back to centralization. You're getting back to trusting the big banks, or trusting the big governments, or trusting the people that are on the covers here. And so that to me, you might as well stick with Web 2. If you're serious about Web 3, it's about the common person having the big opportunity, and the common person being able to to make something of themselves. That's Web 3 to me.
I love this idea of, my definition has been shared values, shared ownership, shared rewards. I'm now going to add a little byline to that, is a world of infinite opportunities, not possibilities. That's Walt Disney, who said, if you can dream it, you can do it. That's Web 1, right? Which is the power of digital. This is more than that. This is about, this is about ownership. This is about the ability to broaden access. In fact, I was on a podcast interview where I was the guest, and I spoke about my new book where readers will get royalties. It may be the world's first book where readers get royalties. And the question was asked to me, but why? Why would you want your readers to have royalties? Why not just let them buy the book? And I just said, because it's the right thing to do. It just feels like the right thing to do, to allow our customers, our community, to share in the benefits, the value, the profits. It just seems like now is the right time. So I'm going to use that byline. I think it's a fantastic idea. A world not of infinite possibilities, but a world of infinite opportunities.
Yeah, and it was very specific that we chose that word, because it is what we're aiming to do.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about where the project is heading. You have some major announcements. You have some sneak peeks. But I always try and find a quote for my guest that is connected to the theme or the subject at hand. And this is what I found for you, which is, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And this was actually one of the first NFT founders. It was one of the OG projects that not many people remember. But this was, I don't know if you remember the founder, Mahatma Gandhi, one of the very first. No. But to me, this is an amazing concept, right? When we think about being pioneers, when we think about, did people laugh at you, a successful, seasoned businessman?
Still do.
Still do. There you go. Playing with JPEGs.
That's it. No, we had a pretty big press release in news last week of acquiring an OG project, Bulls on the Block, and we've got some nice history behind it. Even with that, there's some that ignored it. There's some that laughed at it. And we know it was the right thing to do. And we know that we know our strategy around it. We know that there will be a point when we win, where we have that conviction. We know where we're going. We know what we're doing. But there's plenty of ignore you, laugh at you. We had people laughing at us with the 6-month ETH back guarantee. They said it was going to put us under. They said that thousands we're going to get refunded. It's going to put your company out of business. We had people tell us that it was a hoax and it was a scam. And so we've heard it. We've heard it all along the way. But you're right. When you try to do something different, when you try to do something that bucks the norms, you're going to get a lot of that.
Right, and then they fight you, and I think they call that the SEC or the whatever the hell. But actually, the reality is what is happening, and I've said this to many people, and maybe we can discuss it. I know we're going to do a space together in the not too distant future, quite frankly, next week. But one of the things that's so interesting is that the Web3 space is essentially Times Square circa 1985, 1990, with 3-card Monty and woman of the night, and you're going to get mugged. And it's not a place for Disney. It's not a place for the M&M store. Now, you might find Times Square a little bit too kind of family friendly in 2022. or maybe 2018, because it seems like it's gone back a little bit. Exactly. But the thing is, you don't get the big brands to come in until you have honest, reputable players, until you've proven your case study. And I think right now that's what we're doing. We're trying to clean up Times Square, at least enough that we can get some additional players to come in and help us build, because we can't do it alone.
No, we can't. And that's where, to me, you mentioned zero-sum game. I repeatedly say positive sum game. You know, we need to grow the pie, not fight over a slice. And it's way too early for us to think that this is the pie and everybody's got to fight over which slice of that pie are they going to get. You know, to me, the pie needs to grow. There's so much opportunity, so much potential. I believe that Web3 is the future. I believe in the potential that it has. And so why would I sit here and fight with this founder or that founder? Now, I'll call out bad actors, and I'm not going to partner with bad actors. We have some guidelines on who we collab with, who we partner with. Being doxxed is number one on the list. And so for us, but when we do find good actors, good founders, we're going to partner with them. There's no need for us to fight over a slice of a pie that's this big when we think the pie is going to be this big.
Positive sum game. That's a great soundbite, and also the idea of expanding the pie. I have a slightly different outlook on it. I actually talk about the new model being a flame versus a pie. And so the whole idea is, if I light your flame, then together our flames burn brighter. It's what I call community capitalism, the evolution of capitalism. But it's the same point that says, instead of mine, my gain comes at your loss. What if there's enough pie for us all? And in many cases, we can do that through the ability to have a floor that rises, or that's stable and then rises over time. But more importantly, and again, hat tip to Fanzo, who once said that his Playboy Rabbitoir, he could sell it even at zero, and for him, he would have profited off it because of the value and the utility he got out of it. And I think when we adopt that mindset, suddenly we realize the power of this digital key called an NFT that unlocks this magical box of not just experiences and utility, but connection as well.
It is that connection piece. And I look at it as you have a lifetime membership into a community by owning the NFT. And to your point, maybe you grow out of that community. Maybe that what that community brings to you, maybe you move on to something else. But now, instead of just leaving, you've got this membership card that you could sell to somebody else that might find value in it.
Yeah, and of course, also this essence of necessary endings, that not all relationships are meant to last forever.
Yeah.
But for that moment in time when someone comes through your doors, make them feel as comfortable and as welcome and as valued as possible. I'm looking at some of the comments. We don't know who this YouTube user is, but they said, Anthony, you and the team have done an amazing job. Great job. 2022 NFT Founders of the Year. That's unbelievable. This is breaking news as well. The 2022 NFT Founders of the Year are Guy, Anthony, and Manny. And so you heard it here first. It's on video. This is not a deep fake. So go ahead and bank it. Bank it. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks.
Arnaud is here. He said, hi, guys. And 996 Twin Turbo said, this team of far advanced and professional, they're setting the standard to follow rather than cash grabs. I have to say, it's Ben Lemur. So thank you, Ben. I have to say that even in the not so much there's tokenomics, there was methane, there was a whole there wasn't just a law, but there were intricacies associated with even the money back guarantee. I remember there was a whole conversation at one point about the fact that you couldn't transfer it out your wallet. It was the right idea. And then you obviously adjusted it, and I was following that conversation. That also showed agility and flexibility, because often people will mint in a, like I just did today, mint in an empty wallet or a burner wallet, and then move that to a ledger or whatever the case may be. So you did certainly adapt, etc. But you also created much more of a longer term approach. And that's the thing that I think people miss out. That's the essence of what a brand is. A brand is not a fly-by-night instant brand, just add liquidity, right? A brand is about something that grows and sustains and nurtures over time. And so I think even in the way that you set it up, it was clear that, listen, you need to wait it out. Trust us, trust in us. And then if you choose to, you can leave the project. And, again, for people that are joining late, 15 out of 10,000 people exercise that money back guarantee. That is beyond successful.
Yeah, and that was what was important to us, is that, we believed in what we were going to deliver. And we know that there's a lot of people that mint and flip, mint and flip, mint and flip. And so we wanted to create a framework where we could encourage people to hold for a little bit and let us prove ourselves. And we felt confident that as we delivered, that people would be happy with what they saw. And if they weren't, that's why the refund was there for 6 months. And 6 months in the NFT space, that's like a lifetime, right? And so 180 days that refund was available, and still available till Sunday.
I'm telling you, we're on perfect timing as well, because in 6 months, we're now onto Web 18.3.1 subsection paragraph addendum X. In the time we have left, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about where the project is heading. I know you have, obviously, this is a big deal, a bulls on the block. So you're basically becoming, let's just say, no bull and all bull, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so Bulls on the Block is a big deal for us. We're going to be celebrating it tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We're having a Twitter space. We'll talk through the history of Bulls and Apes. We'll talk through the history of Bulls on the Block. It'll be a nice little trip down memory lane, little celebration, bringing the two communities together. So encourage anybody listening to make sure you set your reminders for the Twitter space tonight. We'll be doing giveaways also during the Twitter space. So the more people that attend, the bigger the giveaways will be.
Hey, I will try and swing by as well. Something else that I know you feel very close to is your lore. And I showed some of that at the beginning as well. 6 chapters, 36 minutes of narrated video. Tell people, for example, let's just say I'm a chief marketing officer at a Fortune 500 company. What is law? Why is law important in developing and bringing these kinds of projects to market?
So for me, in all the NFT projects, and some NFT projects have lore, but a lot don't. And I always felt like my imagination of the NFT, started to bring it to life. And it'd always be cool that if we were able to do that for our collection. In our collection, we have 500 or so traits. It's all walks of life kind of approach to our collection. So why not bring that collection to life with the lore? And that's what we've done. And so that lore helps engagement, it helps connection, but it also helps explain the storyline to our tokenomics. And our tokenomics, it could be very dry, right? Reading through this plus this equals this. I mean, it's math. It's not fun. And so having the lore bring the tokenomics to life, brings this dry subject and bring some emotion to it. And that's something that was really, and I believe it makes it more appealing and more fun to play along with.
Yeah, and you know what? In the world of brands and brand marketing, it's all about storytelling. And that's the essence of what it is. It's being able to tell a story and then sell a story and then be able to deliver on the story. And that's what I would only add. I would add that little bit of extra, because there were many, many stories initially, but they all ended up being kind of empty because there was never follow up and follow through. And so just to kind of toot your horn a little bit as well, it's not our law, right? It's now 6 chapters. It's the fact that it continues, it's unfolding. It is a story and a work and a journey in progress.
And one of the things that also I'll just note is actions that the community has taken has made it into the lore. And so we're paying attention to how the community is reacting to Bulls and Apes and to the collection, the different trading that's happening. And some of that has made its way into the lore as well, which is, it's pretty cool to see.
I like that. So community, how about CGC? I called it consumer generated content when I wrote Life After the 30-Second Spot in 2005. But now we're going to update it with CGC, which is community generated content. You heard it here first with the founder of the year. So in the time we have left, you're going to be held now to the fire. And in a 16 says, give us some alpha on the apes, Anthony. They want some alpha. And guess what? You will not be disappointed because we know that there are some surprise announcements coming up, and you may just give a little bit of a hint. So the floor is yours.
No, so there will be no ape alpha. But what I would say is the Bulls on the Block was a big announcement for us, but it's just the beginning. We have some big things planned over the next few weeks, the next couple of months for that matter. And what we're doing with the apes, with some other announcements, all of this, we've set out to set standards for the industry. We set out to do things differently, and these announcements are going to prove that even more. So I'm excited for it. Look for us to continue to set the standard in the space, and with everything that we do, it's to drive additional value to the community. And so you'll be very, very pleased to see the additional value. That's for sure.
I think we got a lot of what I would call intelligence alpha, positive sum game, community generated content. This is like a marketing professor's, panacea. It's like Club Med for intellectuals and book smarts, of which I am an adjunct at NYU. So I'm loving this. It's going straight into the syllabus as well. Sharon Cognac is here, and she said the measure of a strong brand is a story that resonates with its audience and then listens. So it's open to revising the narrative. Well said, as always, Sharon. And, and we get LOL, bummer, no alpha, see you in Austin. But no doubt there will be continued alpha as well. Maybe you'll just have to join the space tonight. Anthony Mongiello, I hope good things came to those who waited. And I'm actually personally, I'm in love with my new NFT. Haven't bought one in a while, but this one I could not. I was actually getting a little nervous that someone would buy it in the interim, but I'm glad I own it as well. And if you want to follow Anthony on Instagram at AntMongi, and as I always read it in my mind, or on Twitter, Anthony Mongiel 3, and of course Bulls and Apes Project. Join me. I'm the newest bull. I'll be in the Discord shortly as well. And just final few comments. Thank you, Anthony and Joseph. We appreciate. Second, and of course NA16 said, hey, it was worth a shot. So it never ever hurts to ask. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this. Go check out the project. And I can tell you that I have it on good authority. My producers are whispering into my ear that Chuck Norris is looking into becoming the newest member of the community.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
And we will be back soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.